When I first came to government, I came to NSA. Before that, I had been at AT&T Bell Labs. And I came in, and my job at that time was software tools. I was writing software tools for use by other analysts and experts and mathematicians there at NSA. And something I really learned from that was that I learned how to understand, or well, I could do it better today perhaps, but how to understand what someone was actually doing. But I also learned that you could write the coolest technical gizmo, but if they couldn't integrate it into how they worked, it wasn't going to help them. It wasn't going to make a difference. So that was kind of a big thing I learned from that first job. And I did that for a few years. And then sort of naturally went into doing the mission for which I had sort of been the tool developer. So I went from developing tools to help people do that job into actually doing that job, which was security evaluations. There were a few minor things. Early in my career, I had some folks that helped me out and encouraged me to volunteer for things. And that was a big help. So I volunteered for a few projects that had a lot of visibility and got me to work with some really great people. And I learned a lot from them and got to benefit from their experience and from the exposure that those big projects got us, which was sort of a big help. Because if you have a lucky break like that, or you can volunteer for something, then people recognize you, and then maybe they think of you the next time there's some big project. Right? So that can be a big help. But something else that I did early in my career that I think was really beneficial to me was I tried to establish a bit of a network of people I could go to. I had the good fortune to have the opportunity, and NSA is really good about this, of being able to use my home organization as a base and then go out and work with other organizations within our agency. And then you kind of, you go work over with these guys for 3 months, well, now you know some guys there. And you go work on this working group over here, well, now you know some guys over there. And establishing that network, those contacts in those other parts of our NSA mission was invaluable. And later on, you can help them out and they can help you out. It can really sort of benefit your career in the long term. I could try to be funny and say, don't worry, it gets much worse later. But of course, your ability to cope with it gets much worse later. Okay, I have a couple of specific points of advice, and certainly I've talked to mentees about this sort of thing. The first one is, leave work at work. Now that's perhaps very easy in the intelligence community where your work is all classified and you can't bring it home. But even if it's in other parts of civilian government, don't succumb to that temptation to always be at work and to be pulling out your mobile device and doing work in the middle of the night. Don't do that. If you have to work hard, go into work and work hard. And when you're not at work, you're not at work. The second one is find a peer or a mentor or someone like that with whom you can have the really frank and open discussions. And don't have it be somebody in your chain. It has to be somebody like sort of lateral from you. And you'll find that if you can have those open discussions with someone who kind of knows where you're coming from, it can be really beneficial. And the third one is make it part of your job to contribute to the office morale or the morale of whatever kind of mission unit you're in. It'll help you, and it'll also help all those folks around you, and it'll help set that atmosphere for your office. I guess the best one, and the one I always give my mentees nowadays, is always be learning something new. There's a temptation if you get good at some particular type of work or some body of technology or whatever, to just kind of say, hey, I'm good at this, I'm going to keep doing this. But don't go with that temptation. Always be learning that next thing. And sure, maybe if you're good at I don't know, say a certain kind of programming, you're going to be called on to do that, and that's going to be your job, and you've got to be doing it. But don't make that everything, right? Be taking those courses, going to conferences, volunteering for new things, reading, so that you always have that next thing on the horizon for yourself. And every now and then that'll pay off, where that new thing that you were learning suddenly becomes that hot topic that the boss 4 up to you just really needs somebody who knows that, or some mission area really needs that expertise, and then you're ready to jump in and maybe create a big break for yourself. So that's the piece of advice I received early and like to give. That's hard, and I get asked that at NSA, and I'm quite familiar with those resources at NSA. I know about all sorts of employee resource groups and mentoring groups and speed mentoring, all sorts of things that we have at NSA. I don't know how those things work at other agencies, but my advice to someone would be find out what things there are at your agency or bureau or wherever you happen to work, and take advantage of them. Don't be shy about saying, oh, those things are for new hires only. I've been here 3 years. I shouldn't take it. No, do take advantage of them, right? If they mean new hires only, it'll say right on the sign, new hires only. And the next thing, so take advantage of those resources, mentoring groups, things like that are available. And the next thing is a lot of agencies these days are firing up internal social networking. Okay, you can't go out on normal Facebook and hold a reasoned discussion about your job in intelligence, right? Because it's classified and Facebook is not. But you have internal things like that. At my agency, we have a really great set of internal social networking tools, particularly one named Tapioca, that is now being deployed out to the rest of the intelligence community. Find those tools like that, those blog servers and chat rooms and profile servers, all those sorts of social networking things, and make use of them. They allow you to interact with folks that you don't see on a daily basis, and they allow you to put yourself out there where others can be seen. A good example of that would be Tapioca, which is a really good system at our agency, has what's called an expertise feature, and I use it all the time, and so do my senior leaders that I work with, where you can kind of mark yourself down as, hey, I'm an expert in, say, IPv6. And then your peers can corroborate that, right? So if you were to go on Tapioca and you'd look up IPv6 experts, you'd find me with some number of corroborations from my peers. And later on, when someone, some working group, some big activity says, boy, I'm really an expert on X, they go to those directories and they say, wow, that guy is the second most highly voted expert in this topic area. I'm going to go ask him to join my team, right?
It's like you're on NSA's LinkedIn.
Yeah, in some ways it is like LinkedIn, yeah. The interface doesn't look the same, of course, but it has some features kind of like that. Government is kind of a really cool place. The first thing I tell this to college students all the time, I do a lot of academic outreach. Don't look at government as somewhere that if you choose to go there, you're stuck there all of your life. You may choose to stay a long time, as I've done, but you may not. So you can go to government and you'll get all sorts of experience. Most government agencies are really good about providing training. And you'll get to have an impact in ways that you won't often have other places. And of course, I'm most familiar with the intelligence community. And within our world, you get challenges like you're not going to get anywhere else. And then you can take those experiences and go to elsewhere in government. You don't have to do the same thing all the time, right? You go elsewhere in government, go out to industry for a while. I know friends of mine who've worked several years in government, gone out to industry for a few years, come back to government. That sort of thing is reasonably accepted. You can do it. So I encourage folks to think about government very seriously because of the experiences it's going to give them to carry on later in their careers.